There's always a wall between me and everyone else that was shame.
And stumble and fall and have to pick myself up, knowing that he still loves me, and that this is okay. Being broken is okay.
Today, the areas of recovery that I'm really focusing on is my financial recovery.
There's more honest communication between my husband and myself.
Celebrate Recovery deals with hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And so basically, I don't think there's anyone that can't benefit from Celebrate Recovery. We all struggle with those things to some degree.
I used to struggle with depression a lot, and so I'd want to just hide. I don't want to bother people with my problems. I don't want to bring anybody down. I don't want to make anybody feel bad. And I've learned to no, I'm struggling.
The things that have happened to us that we haven't even been able to put words to, when we find a safe place like Celebrate Recovery provides, we have an opportunity to bring those things to the surface, put some words around them, and let that healing begin.
And that has been huge, in just knowing that I'm cared for, that I'm really cared for and I'm loved.
It's a safe place where we can experience community and deal with our struggles within that.
Again, growing up, God's family, the church, was something to hide from, something to hide my imperfections from.
When you provide a safe place for people within a church context to be real about their struggles, people open up and allow God's healing to come into those places that we have felt that we needed to hide from Him.
That it's okay for me to not be okay, and that it's okay for me to tell other people that I'm not okay. And I think that's the biggest thing for me.
It was very nerve-wracking to just have to admit that I needed something more, that I wasn't perfect, that I wasn't this perfect image that I'd been creating for so many years, that I was actually broken and needed to be somewhere that could help.
I remember laying awake at night, literally in my head, yelling at God, why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this? And just not understanding. But it was communication. It was talking to God, and He's certainly been faithful to me through this process, and I am so grateful.
Back when I first came out to Celebrate Recovery in 2008, I really didn't feel I needed any help, but wanted to go down to help. And God revealed to me very quickly that smoking was an area that I needed to deal with. And along with smoking, I chose to work on anger and patience. I knew that they were areas that I struggled with.
Things happen to us by other people that are very painful that we need recovery from. And, again, if we're honest, we've done things to other people or to ourselves that we're not necessarily proud of, and we need recovery from those things. And so I think everyone can benefit from Celebrate Recovery.
Shopping has been my drug of choice my entire life. When I've had a bad day, when I've had a good day, when I'm, Mama just needed a new pair of shoes. And so I would use shopping as my way to reward, as my way to punish. And God's just now calling me out on that and saying, okay, let's look at the root of this issue and why you're doing this.
I started attending Celebrate Recovery to work on my sexual addiction. At first, I didn't realize it was an addiction. It was something that I did, something to get through the day. I thought it was a way that I could deal with some of the issues in my life and not affect anyone else. I was wrong.
I started to realize that I needed to come to Celebrate Recovery when my husband was having recovery and nothing had changed in me. And I realized that it was my turn to have healing.
And we've seen that over the years, where one spouse comes into recovery, and if they just kind of remain a little bit more quiet about not trying to drag the other partner in, but just allow them to see the change that's taking place in them, there'll be a curiosity that's created that might draw the other partner into Celebrate Recovery.
As I was driving there, it was fine because it was my home church, so I was comfortable with that route. But then when I saw that big A-frame sign that said Celebrate Recovery, I got angry and I was like, this is stupid. Why do they have to announce to the whole world that I'm going to recovery?
At Celebrate Recovery 101, I was very guarded, very reserved about sharing anything right off the bat. But I came back the next week, and there was something that happened that first night that drew me back. I'm not sure exactly what it was, whether it was the feeling welcome, or just the potential of the program to help me.
I felt very alone, and when I started to come to Celebrate Recovery, I realized that there was more people than just me dealing with a broken marriage, that we were living single lives in one home.
My first introduction to Celebrate Recovery is when it was announced in our church. And I remember just being really excited that perhaps there was possibility for freedom for me for sexual addiction, but then feeling terrified that I'd have to tell someone that I struggled with that. So I didn't go for many years.
As a result of some of the freedom that I've experienced through Celebrate Recovery, my sobriety, my accountability, it's really allowed me to explore other areas that I really, other gifts that I really didn't know that I had or really hadn't used very much. One of those was singing with the worship team. I love to do that.
And I love to watch him serve as a worship participant. We are just waiting for God to show us what our role is in this journey, and we are excited to see our whole family see healing and freedom from the brokenness that we've created.
One of the biggest blessings of being part of this ministry is seeing people walk in the doors and they are broken, they are wounded, they are stuck, they are angry. And seeing God do a transforming work, even over weeks, months, years, it gives me goosebumps to be able to be a part of that.
We can experience greater freedom, greater healing, greater joy in our lives. And so, no, you don't need to wait until you're in a really desperate situation before you come to Celebrate Recovery.
And just that I can just be who God created me to be, not who I've conjured myself up to be, but I can walk in his footsteps.
So I'm looking forward to working with other people, finding out how I can be a better husband, how I can serve better, how I can treat my body better. Just all the facets of my life, I can explore those and see what God has for me.
My sponsor is such an amazing woman. She's a woman of God, and she is not afraid to challenge me and to call me out on things. And same with my accountability partners, right? That's the beauty of who am I spending my time with? Who am I surrounding myself with? Am I surrounding myself with people that are going to continue to help me to journey forward, or am I hanging out with people that are going to hold me back or keep me stuck?
In Celebrate Recovery, as we work through those recovery principles, one of the areas that we get to is submitting to the changes that God wants to make in our lives. And I think that oftentimes He is way more gracious with us than we are with ourselves. He gently has led me in changing one thing at a time in my life. And He has done that not in isolation as I wanted it to be, with just me and God dealing with this thing, but as I have dropped my pride and acknowledged with either with my sponsor one-on-one or in a group, in a safe group that Celebrate Recovery provides, that's where change started to take place.
Being honest with someone else, being honest with my sponsor, being honest with someone who keeps me accountable, helps me be honest with God and with myself.
I've been reminded of a butterfly in the cocoon, and it's a safe place for him. It's also a place of struggle. And that is exactly what Celebrate Recovery is to each and every person that wants to walk in there. The struggles may be different, but the change is there, and the change for the better.
If you are questioning whether or not Celebrate Recovery is a program that you can benefit from, I would encourage you to just give it a try. Really, you have nothing to lose. It's taking that first step that's going to be the hardest, but it is going to be a journey of freedom, and it doesn't mean that there won't necessarily be some hurt along that way. But if you've already got hurt that you're bringing with you, why wouldn't you want to try and find some freedom? What's a little more hurt in a journey that you've already been experiencing?
So I'm often, when I'm working a table at a church, it's for Celebrate Recovery, information table, and people come up and say, I want to pick up some literature for my friend. What I tell them is the best thing you can do for your friend is to bring them to a meeting.
My addiction was an addiction, and it did hurt the people that I love the most. And I'm so glad that I spent the time working on that. It took me the better part of a year to gain any sort of sobriety over that area.
So I would encourage you to take that step and to get off the couch and drive as hard as it's going to be, and forget the sign that you see on the road that says Celebrate Recovery, and just come in and be loved by the people that are there, and experience what God wants for you, and that's to just live a life full of freedom.
The freedom has just been incredible. If you're debating whether to come back again next week, come back.